The Lakers vs. Rockets game in 1999 was already tense before the fight even began. Both teams were physical, and the matchup between Shaquille O'Neal and Charles Barkley was a battle of strength and pride.
I was always envious of Charles because he got all the calls. So the day he hit me with the ball, I was like, good, now I'm about to knock him out.
Oh, there's a swing by O'Neal. He'll get a blue high in the field.
Every post-up was aggressive, and neither player showed any intention of backing down. The arena atmosphere felt hostile, with fans sensing something could explode. This wasn't just a regular season game, it felt personal. The dominant personalities were colliding head-on. The stage was perfectly set for chaos. The moment that triggered everything came during a hard post-up in the paint. Barkley aggressively backed Shaq down, using his body to create space. Shaq responded with equal force. Refusing to give ground, the physicality crossed into frustration within seconds. Barkley, visibly irritated, suddenly grabbed the basketball. What happened next shocked everyone watching. He hurled the ball directly at Shaq's head. That single act instantly ignited the situation. Shaq reacted without hesitation, charging straight at Barkley in a fit of rage. The crowd gasped as one of the league's most dominant centers lunged forward. Barkley didn't retreat either, standing his ground as Shaq swung punches. Barkley swung back, and the confrontation turned into a full-blown fight. Players rushed in from all directions. What should have been a whistle turned into total chaos. Referees were helpless in the first few seconds. Coaches ran onto the court, desperately trying to separate the two stars. Teammates grabbed jerseys, arms, and shoulders to prevent further punches. The benches cleared as confusion spread across the floor. Security personnel moved closer, preparing for the worst. The game had completely stopped. All focus was on the violent clash at center court. What made the fight even more shocking was who was involved. Charles Barkley was a veteran nearing the end of his career, known for toughness but also leadership. Shaquille O'Neal was the most dominant force in the league, a global superstar. Seeing the Hall of Famers throwing punches was unprecedented. This wasn't a fight between role players. It was elite-level chaos, broadcast live to the world. The NBA reacted swiftly once order was restored. Officials ejected both Barkley and Shaq from the game immediately. The league launched an investigation into the incident. Suspensions and heavy fines followed soon after. The NBA wanted to send a clear message that this level of violence was unacceptable. The penalties reflected the seriousness of the moment. It became one of the most disciplined altercations of that era. Media coverage exploded in the days that followed. Sports shows replayed the incident nonstop, analyzing every angle. Debates erupted over who was more at fault. Some blamed Barkley for throwing the ball, while others pointed to Shaq's violent response. Fans took sides passionately. The incident dominated headlines far beyond basketball circles. It became a cultural sports moment. The fight also exposed the raw competitiveness of late 90s NBA basketball. This was an era where physicality ruled and emotions often boiled over. Trash talk, hard fouls, and pride fueled rivalries nightly. Barkley and Shaq were products of that environment. Their clash symbolized how intense the league had become. It was ugly, but it was real, and it showed how thin the line was between competition and violence. Interestingly, the fight didn't end their rivalry, it transformed it. Years later, when Barkley and Shaq became TV analysts together, the incident added weight to their arguments. Their on-air clashes felt more authentic because of their history. Viewers knew their tension was real. That fight became the foundation of their complicated relationship. It followed them long after retirement. Today, the 1999 Barkley vs. Shaq fight remains one of the most iconic moments in NBA history. It's replayed in documentaries, highlight reels, and debates about league toughness. The image of Barkley throwing the ball and Shaq charging forward is unforgettable. It represents an era when emotions ran unchecked. More than just a fight, it became a defining symbol of NBA intensity, and decades later, it still hasn't been forgotten. Years after their playing careers ended, the rivalry between Shaquille O'Neal and Charles Barkley found a new stage on Inside the NBA. What was supposed to be lighthearted analysis quickly turned into verbal warfare. Their shared history made every exchange feel loaded with tension, unlike scripted debates. This felt raw and unpredictable. Viewers could sense there was real emotion behind the jokes. The show became must-watch television because of their chemistry. Their feud was reborn in front of millions. Shaq often led the attacks by targeting Barkley's lack of championship rings. He repeatedly reminded Chuck that rings matter, using this for titles as a weapon. The comments were delivered with humor, but the edge was undeniable. Shaq knew exactly where to strike. Each jab was designed to undermine Barkley's credibility. As an analyst, the audience laughed, but the tension was real. It became Shaq's favorite argument. Barkley never stayed silent. He fired back by questioning Shaq's work ethic during his career. Barkley accused Shaq of wasting potential by showing up out of shape. He argued that Shaq should have won even more championships. These comments hit a nerve. Barkley wasn't attacking Shaq's talent, he was attacking his discipline. The debate shifted from rings to responsibility. As the exchanges continued, the tone sometimes escalated beyond jokes. Voices were raised and body language changed. Viewers noticed moments when laughter stopped and frustration surfaced. Co-hosts Ernie Johnson and Kenny Smith often stepped in to calm things down. There were times when the studio felt uncomfortable. That discomfort made it compelling. Fans could tell this was a manufactured drama. One of the most infamous moments came when Shaq abruptly walked off the set after a heated exchange. Barkley had questioned Shaq's leadership, and Shaq took it personally. The live broadcast captured the awkward silence that followed. Social media exploded within seconds. Clips went viral instantly. That moment proved the feud was deeper than entertainment. Despite the tension, the rivalry elevated the show's popularity. Ratings soared whenever Barkley and Shaq clashed. Fans tuned in not just for basketball analysis, but for the unpredictability. The arguments felt honest and unscripted. That authenticity separated inside the NBA from other sports programs. The feud became a core feature, not a flaw. Shaq's sensitivity became a recurring theme in Barkley's criticisms. Barkley often mocked Shaq for reacting emotionally to comments. Shaq, in return, accused Barkley of jealousy. Their back and forth mirrored old locker room arguments. It felt like the former competitors still fighting for respect. The studio became their new court. Interestingly, their feud also showed moments of mutual respect. Occasionally, Shaq would acknowledge Barkley's greatness. Barkley would admit Shaq was the most dominant big man ever. These brief moments made the insults feel more layered. It wasn't pure hatred, it was competitive pride. That complexity kept audiences invested. The media war also sparked endless fan debates online. Social media platforms became battlegrounds for Team Shaq and Team Chuck. Clips were analyzed frame by frame. Quotes were turned into memes. Their feud transcended television. It became part of basketball culture itself. In the end, the Barkley versus Shaq media war redefined sports television. It proved that authenticity, even when uncomfortable, connects with audiences. Their arguments were messy, loud, and emotional, but real. What began as an old rivalry turned into legendary TV moments. Inside the NBA wasn't just a show anymore. It was a stage for unresolved history, and fans couldn't look away, even decades after their playing days ended. The rivalry between Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal refuses to fade away. Any discussion about championships, dominance, or the greatest big men in NBA history instantly brings their names together. Shaq still leans on his rings as the ultimate argument, while Barkley counters with honesty, impact, and individual brilliance. Their history ensures that no debate stays neutral for long. Fans know exactly how each man will respond before the words are even spoken, yet they still listen. That's the power of a rivalry that never truly died. What makes this feud timeless is how personal and unresolved it remains. Neither Barkley nor Shaq ever fully conceded ground to the other. Pride continues to shape their opinions, even in casual conversations. Their arguments feel less like entertainment and more like unfinished business. Generations of fans have grown up watching the rivalry evolve from the court to the studio. It has become a living piece of NBA folklore. The debate keeps renewing itself with every era. In the end, the Barkley versus Shaq rivalry proves that greatness isn't judged by stats alone, it's fueled by ego, respect, and lasting emotion. Some battles don't end with retirement, they simply change arenas. What began as physical dominance turned into verbal warfare, and finally into legacy debate. The game moved on, but their rivalry didn't. It remains a reminder that true competition leaves scars that never fully heal, and that's why this story will always be remembered.